Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is David and I'm known on the internet as Unity Freedom. So today's topic I'd like to talk about is about manipulation. People manipulating others. And I'd like to talk about that topic. How do you identify manipulators? And also narcissists who manipulates people for their own benefits. I will talk about that too. So without further ado, I will come back after this short introduction. Hi, welcome back. So today I'd like to talk about manipulation, or I call them manipulators. People who manipulate others for their own benefits. And the reason why I like to talk about this is because I see a lot of things happening on the internet, especially the development in the United States, where you have ICE agents indiscriminately shooting innocent people who are protesting. And instead of arresting them, if they violate any of the laws, they killed the two innocent people. And instead of being transparent, they lied about who they are and what they did to deserve to be killed or murdered. And today I'd like to talk about the mindset of a manipulator and why they want to manipulate others in order to force others to accept their narrative. Now, often we associate manipulators with people who are suffering from narcissistic personality disorder, or you can call them narcissists, covert narcissists, grandiose narcissists. But in this video, I will only refer to people who manipulate others as the manipulators, because not only narcissists manipulate people. People who are not suffering from narcissistic personality disorder also have a tendency to manipulate others to do what they want others to do for them. And today this is a topic I will be talking about. So who is a manipulator? Now, imagine this. I'm a salesman. And then there is a customer who comes in who wants to buy a car. The customer has an idea of what kind of car that he or she wants to buy. And the client wants to come into the dealership to try out the car that the customer wants to try. So if the customer wants to buy a specific model and the customer comes into the dealership to try out that particular model because it fits the price tag, the customer can afford the payments, and generally the customer had already done some research on the car, and then coming into the store basically is to confirm what the customer believes the car can do, how it feels, sometimes you need a test drive, and you need to basically feel the car. So you have to physically come into the dealership. Now, sometimes you can buy a car online too, and it gets delivered to your house, in front of your house, and you don't have to try. But usually it has a trial period for you to try the car, and if you don't like it, you can return it back. But let's say that a customer comes into the store and has an idea of what kind of car that the person who comes into the car dealership wants to buy. And then the customer meets the salesperson. The salesperson takes the customer around the dealership, shows different cars, and then finally shows the car that the customer wants to buy. As a salesman, however, because I used to do sales myself, you're on a commission. If the car gives you a pretty good commission, then of course you probably want to upsell on the options. Oh, there's insurance, and there's undercoatings that you need to buy, there's paint protection, and so forth. As a salesman, you want to try to upsell more options to the customer so you can make more money. But the customer, when customer comes in, only has an idea of the car and then the cost of insurance. But then a salesman have to convince the customer to take on all these options. So then the salesman will try to upsell the customer whatever the customer thinks is of value, put the value on the car. Because when you're buying a new car, you have so much options. Well, you want to, take good care of your car. So often you tend to buy all these options to make sure the car is protected. So it's easy for the salesman to upsell all the options that the customer will eventually buy and pay for. It's good for the customer and also good for the salesman. But of course, the salesman will continue to upsell more and more options. And some of these options are not really helpful for the customer. It's only to make money for the salesman and for the company. And that's where you come into the gray area of manipulation. You see, manipulation is a tactic. You can have hard manipulation and a soft manipulation. But it always deals with fear. You project a certain sense of fear to your client. If you don't buy this option, it might not be good for your car. Or if you don't buy these options, you might be left stranded in the middle of the road. And there is no one to help you. But if you buy this option, you can have a satellite connection, you can call for help for a specific amount of money. Or maybe get you to get into a subscription fees, which is quite popular these days. So you're paying a lot of fees, but you might not need those services. But the person who wants to manipulate you into getting those services will instill a bit of fear. Not direct fear, but a case-by-case basis to manipulate you to buy those options, to subscribe to those options. So this is a soft way of manipulating people to buy more than they need. And some of us do it as a way of helping the company create more business. And to us, we justify it because maybe the client would need these services. And of course, then the client may think, oh yeah, you're doing me a favor by buying these services, subscribing to all these services to protect me and protect my investment. But if you look and examine carefully, there is a symbiotic relationship between the client and the customer. Why does the customer agree upon all these subscriptions and options? Because you can always disagree, you can always refuse and not take those options. Just like when I ask you, would you like to buy an extended warranty? An extended warranty for the car. I'll give you another 5 years, powertrain and brakes and whatnot for this amount. And of course, the customer can always refuse that extended warranty. Now, why does some people refuse and just walk away, not needing the extended warranty and don't feel bad about it? But some customers actually went ahead and buy the extended warranty, and then of course a few years later realize they don't need it. The car did fine without the extended warranty. What I realized is that the customers that actually are the most easily manipulated are the customers that have a certain sense of attachment to a certain thing. So let's say you have an attachment, a strong attachment to the car. The salesman will poke around to see if you do have a strong sense of attachment with the car. And if the salesman realizes that you do have a strong attachment to a car, that you want to protect the car, you want to protect your investment, then the salesman decide, okay, maybe I should sell some protection options for this customer. So a manipulator will always prod around to see if you have a certain sense of attachment. A narcissist also will do that. Some call it a shit test. They do a shit test on you to see if you react, if you have a certain attachment to a certain thing. Let's say a narcissist realizes, oh, you like to help people, or you like to save people. For example, I mean, they do a shit test on you to see if you react wanting to save a certain person or wanting to help a certain person. Because often narcissists will target people who have empathy, people who want to help, people who want to assist other people. It's not a wrong thing to do. It's not a bad thing to do. But the narcissist, the manipulator, will do a shit test on you to see if you're attached to something. And when you're attached to something, that's when they can use the attachment to manipulate you, to control you. And in this case of the customer who is attached, who is strongly attached to the car, wants to protect the investment, then for a salesman, I can sell the customer anything I want. I can upsell the customer. If I sense the customer, like me, I used to be a salesman, that the customer wants a better car, a better option, and I can sense that attachment that he wants or she wants a better car. Maybe the person wants a basic car, but if I sense that the person wants a better car, more comfort, more speed, more options, then it's easy for me to lead the person to another car. Because the person already has an attachment. And all I have to do is to manipulate that person to go for that attachment, to reinforce the attachment. Because what does the manipulator also has? His own or her own attachment. Attachment to more sales, to more money. And if I can upsell more to this customer, I can make more money. So there is a symbiotic relationship based on attachment. So whatever attachment you have, it is your weakness, because that's how manipulators push your buttons. So what is a manipulator? A manipulator is someone who temporarily introduce a certain attachment or reality into your mindset, and then through that manipulation reinforces the attachment until you take on the attachment. Or if you already have the attachment, then the manipulator only have to reinforce the attachments that you have in you. Now, why are we attracted to many manipulators? Why you always say, why am I being scammed or being lied to? Well, because you have an attachment. And when you have a certain attachment, you're looking for someone out there that have a similar attachment than that you have in you. So let's say you have an attachment to making lots of money. Who do you look for? People who will promise you that I will help you make lots of money. Will you be attracted to people who's gonna tell you there's no such thing as a free lunch? If I'm telling you, no, there's no such thing as free lunch, you can't just make money easily. I wouldn't, if someone is looking for that person, wouldn't be looking at me, because I'm telling the truth. That there is no such thing as a free lunch or a shortcut to making lots of money. But if I know the person is attached to wanting to make lots of money, then that person will always look for or pay attention to those people who will promise you that I can help you make lots of money. You know, in the 80s and 90s, there was this Asian guy, Vietnamese guy called Tom Vu. He was able to manipulate a lot of people into giving him a lot of money. And of course, a lot of these people lost money, but they were attracted to him because he promised an easy way to make money, lots of money from real estate. And when I look at Tom Vu, when I was young, I immediately know that he's just a manipulator. He's just using tricks that to manipulate people into buying his programs, buying his books, buying his seminars. There's quite a bit of many of these people in the world. It goes on TV, goes on YouTube, selling all these schemes, selling all these ideas, selling all these programs. But they know that there are people out there that will buy their programs because they know that as long as you have an attachment to something, you will go for the people who offer the reward for your attachment. So whenever you're attracted to a certain scheme like Tom Vu in the 80s and 90s about how to make money, lots of money from real estate, you will go to his seminar. You will go to his talks because you also want to make lots of money. And it's the same with Donald Trump. People who are attracted to Donald Trump have the same attachments. He also wanted to make lots of money from real estate. But the followers, his followers, also want to make lots of money from real estate. So when Donald Trump said, I'm offering you a pathway to making lots of money, you just follow my way and I will help you make lots of money. People don't really stand back and say, let me think about this. Let me evaluate what you're saying here. Are you telling the truth? Or you're just manipulating me to buy your program? And most of the time, people will pay lots of money to Tom Vu, to Donald Trump, to many of the influencers out there because you really want to fulfill your attachment. These people give you the advantage to fulfill your attachment to certain things. And these people, they know that you will. You can call them false gurus, charlatans, manipulators, scam artists, but really they only can get you to or hook onto you by knowing your attachments. Once they know you have a certain attachments, they can have hooks on you and pull you in. And you don't even know why you're being pulled in. Unless, of course, you step back and see, I have a certain attachments. These people are offering me a way to realize my attachments. So the manipulator is a person that can sense what sort of attachments you have, and then they do a shit test on you by what? By doing what? Gaslighting the situation. They try to gaslight you to react. And gaslighting is to impose a certain reality that is not real onto you, to get you to react emotionally so that you say, okay, you have to really react to this situation and you really have to respond to this person, either just responding or I gotta have to get on his seminar and get on his or her program, otherwise I'll miss out. So like the FOMO effect, fear of missing out. So these people, they use gaslighting to pull you in, to get you to react. Now these people are completely blind. They don't see that the emperor has no clothes because the attachments blinded them. The attachments blinded their reasoning to see that these people, these manipulators, are really manipulating your reality. It's not real reality. It's just manipulating you because you're responding to the gaslighting. Now, typically, often, say, I express something. I express something that people need to hear. And then when I express something people need to hear, a manipulator often will react by gaslighting me, by basically distorting the truth of what I express. And if you look at the world stage, what Mark Carney did on the Davos conference, he gave a speech. He basically told the truth, what people need to hear. But when Donald Trump and his goons heard about what Mark Carney said, that was what people need to hear, Donald Trump reacted. And of course, Scott Bessent gaslit the situation by claiming that Mark Carney walked back from all his statements. But of course that wasn't true, because Mark Carney said, I meant what I said. I meant what I said. Notice that Mark Carney only replied with short sentences. And this is how you become assertive against the manipulators. Because when you reply in short sentences, what does it say about you? You really don't have any attachments that they can have hooks on you. Because often when people gaslight you, like me, many times when people gaslight me, accusing me, falsifying accusations that what I said, they distort it and they turn it around and make it something else that's not true. If you have a certain attachments in yourself, say you have an attachment of you wanting to see some results from telling the truth, then when you told the truth or you want to express yourself, you have a certain attachment to seeing results. And when the narcissist or someone who is a manipulator gaslit you to try to get you to react, if they can get you to react and you defend yourself, you explain yourself, you give a long explanation, the narcissist or the manipulator has hooks on you. Because then the narcissist or the manipulator knows that you have a certain attachment that they can manipulate you. Eventually to get you to listen or behave like what the narcissist wants you to behave. But you simply return or reply to any accusations with short sentences, then the manipulator do not have any hooks on your short sentences. So for example, Mark Carney says, I meant what I say, or if somebody accuses you that you are providing wrong facts, I can say, I do not imagine facts. And then when you agree, you just say understood. And when you want to get some more information, you say, please expand. So you're really forcing the manipulator to do more of the work. And when you actually do that with short sentences, you can see clearly that the manipulator will show their hand. They will show their attachments. Especially for spiritual people, they will show their attachments to certain scriptures, to certain understanding, to certain teachings of Ascended Masters. They will list them out. But what they're doing is that they're listing out the attachments they have in themselves, what they attach to the teachings. They think that spiritual growth is about attaching more and more things, rather than spiritual growth is about letting go. It's about letting go of the attachments. The more you let go of the attachments, the more you become spiritually, the growth. Because if you don't have any attachments in you, why would you need to react? You simply say short sentences. It's the most efficient way. It's how assertive people will answer towards people who are trying to manipulate you or lie to you, because that's how manipulators can control you. They want to find out if you have any attachments in you. If you have worked on yourself, like what the Buddha says, letting go of attachments is the way out of suffering. Why would you need to suffer if you don't have any attachments that can push your buttons on? And these manipulators, like what we're seeing right now with the ICE agents, and with the DHS, you can see clearly that they're really using manipulative tactics to try to get you to react to whatever attachments you have. Now, the base will react to whatever they see with the ICE agents, and they will believe what the ICE agents are doing or just. But clearly, many other people who do not have these attachments do not buy the lies. And you can already see, even in many businesses, they don't buy the lie. Because when you do not have the attachments, you cannot sell a lie. Just like when you are going into the car dealership with no attachments to the car, you just simply go in there to just buy a car, buy the car that you want, and you have no attachment to a car. You're just buying a car for your transportation to get to work or to take your kids to the soccer match or to the outings. You know the car, you know the budget, you know the price, that's what you want to pay. You don't really care about all the other options. Just go in there. No matter what the salesman do to you, try to upsell you, try to instill fear onto you, they don't have any power to manipulate your mind because you don't have the attachment. They don't have the fangs, their fangs, the claws, to claw into your attachments, to pull you back, to pull you in. That's when you're free. That's when you can actually, well, if you don't want to sell the car, I'll just go somewhere else. And of course, the salesman will say, oh, hold on. Okay, fine. Let's sign a contract. So when you don't have any of the attachments to the material world, to any ideologies, teachings, or concepts, you won't react. Because really, when you're putting all this attention to the people who are giving these lies, all you're doing is that you're reaffirming your attachments to certain ideologies, certain beliefs that you have in you, that allows you to that compels you to focus on the people who are selling these lies or manipulating you. Because the manipulations require attachments in yourself that they can manipulate you from. Because without the attachments, no one can manipulate you. You just basically, how can you manipulate air? You can just grab air like this, and nothing will do. You cannot grab it. It's transparent, it's formless. And with you, when you let go of all the attachments in you, you become transparent to all the manipulations that people have. Now, of course, once in a while you get manipulated and you get scammed, you learn your lesson, and that's fine. But then why do you get manipulated? Because you still have a certain attachment that you couldn't see. And then you're attracted to these people who then exploit your attachment. In a way, they are showing you the attachment for you to see and for you to let go of. It's no point in understanding the attachments that you have based on what they are doing to you, because they're only showing it to you. The final choice is you. You have to make a choice to let go of any attachment you have. You know, in the past, I used to attract all these narcissistic women. They're beautiful, great body. But the most common thing I have for all these women that I attract was sex, right? I mean, they were beautiful. I just want to have sex with them. And that was the attachment I have. But of course, they know it too. You see, they know that, oh, all you're doing all this is just for something below me. You just want something down below me. So I can then get you to buy me lunch, dinner, or buy anything I want. in exchange for this down below. So it's a transactional relationship based on a certain attachment. Like the girl wants me to pay for everything in exchange for benefits that I get from her. When I was younger, I didn't know anything, but I realized it was really about attachment, that she was offering something I want in exchange for something she wants of me. Because when I quit my job working in tech, making lots of money, when I decided to pivot my career into nursing, guess what? All the women that say, oh, David, you're the greatest guy or whatnot, it's all bullshit. They peel off one by one. They disappear because they realize I can no longer offer the benefits they come to expect from me. So the attachments they have on me is no longer there. I no longer hold the attachments of wanting to make lots of money, want to hold a position of power because I was in management. And of course they want that too. But as soon as they realize I don't have that position anymore, I simply want to be a common person, serving the whole, being in nursing, a job that they don't see as being glamorous compared to a tech manager. They all peeled off, disappear, including my friends. I thought they were my best friends. They all peeled off because I don't want to associate with this guy who is a loser, who gave up being a tech manager in tech and consider working in nursing, changing people's diapers, or doing this dirty stuff, having to smell feces and urine. So once I let go of the attachments, all the people I used to know, they all peeled off, they all disappear because they no longer see the attachments that they can manipulate me to give what they want. So it was all about benefits, friends with benefits. I no longer have the benefits to give them. They're no longer with me. So the manipulators are always looking for a certain benefit of its victims. But the victims have attachments that attract the manipulators into their lives. And for many victims of manipulators, they realize that they have taken on this unreality that's not theirs. But really it's being reinforced by the manipulators. But as soon as you realize I don't want this anymore, you have to make a choice to let the attachments go. That whatever beliefs and ideologies you have, they attract these manipulators into your life. The same thing with Donald Trump. He's got a base of people that he can rely on because his base has a certain attachments to a certain ideology, a certain belief that Donald Trump is providing them with. Like immigration, these illegal immigrants, they are the pest of society. And as long as they have this attachment, this belief that the immigrants are the bad people, then Donald Trump has claws into their psyche. Donald Trump can control them. They will just do anything Donald Trump tells them to do. But for those who see immigrants as diverse, as productive people who contribute to society, who are helpful to society, they're not buying this lie because they don't have the attachment and beliefs like the base that support Trump. So as long as you have a certain ideology and belief that you're attached to, you will attract people to reaffirm and validate your psychology, your ideology. And then when people tell you what you need to hear, you actually will brand those people as your enemy, even though they are friends. Because when you see that they are not supporting your attachments, your ideologies, and your beliefs, you will see them as a threat, or people who are trying to help you by helping you to see what you need to see. It's the same as the child that tried to show the emperor have no clothes. The emperor has taken on a certain attachment, believed that he's wearing clothes when in fact he's naked. But the child never took on that attachment, never had that attachment that the emperor has clothes on. The child is simply seeing what his eyes is telling him. The emperor is naked, while everybody else believe that the emperor is wearing clothes. So the emperor attracts the people who will validate that he's wearing clothes. The people attract the emperor by telling them that they're smart, by looking at the emperor and say, hey, you're wearing clothes. So they are all, both sides are validating each other's attachments. The attachment blinded them from seeing reality. And the manipulator are manipulating the victims, but also the victims are manipulating themselves from not seeing the truth by reaffirming the attachments. So that's why attachments are extremely powerful in keeping you drunk. Because as long as you're holding on to a certain attachment or beliefs and ideologies, you're not free. You're always in the life of suffering because you're suffering from the attachments that cause you not to see reality. Whereas the child is not suffering. The child is really able to see the truth without the attachments blinding the child. So what are we seeing here today is that there are people, manipulators today in society, they're using their power, their abuse of power to try to manipulate people, to try to lie to people that they can use power to force reality onto other people. But what they don't realize is that more and more and more people are not attached to these lies. They can see, using their wisdom, to evaluate the lies, and they can see that, no, these are not the truth. What you're telling are lies. And you will see this more and more in 2026, where more and more people will use their power and their abuse of power to push lies and misinformation onto you. But really, it's the only way to see this is for you to see if you have a reaction to these lies. If you see you have a reaction to these lies, or you react to them, or you're paying attention to them, that means you have a certain beliefs and a certain attachments to certain ideologies and beliefs these people are selling to you, are trying to get you to get on board. Because these people will try to get you on board. They're assuming that you still have these attachments. But if you work on your attachments and let them go, you're actually becoming more, because then you are not influenced easily by their lies. Anyhow, I hope you enjoy my talks. I just wanted to express this because I just see just too many lies people make on televisions and on YouTube channels. They're trying to promote a certain agenda. They're trying to promote a certain ideology, certain belief. But it is all vanity. Because as long as you don't have the attachments that they have hooks on you, then they really have no power. They're just expressing, which they have the right, just like I have the right to express. But what they don't have the right is to try and manipulate you to accept their narrative, to try to gaslight you, to try to make you feel guilty, try to make you feel you're the bad person because you don't accept the narrative. You're not getting on board. So these people will try to do everything possible to try to get you to react. But really, it's just the attachments in you that the manipulator will try to get hold of, to try to manipulate you to do what they want, to try to manipulate you to accept and embrace their reality, their ideologies. And for those who were victims of manipulators, you know that you felt taken advantage of, you felt traumatized, you felt abandoned, you felt betrayed, you lost the trust. And yes, it does feel that, because they do and will destroy your trust. They will destroy your innocence because you trusted them. But remember that you have a certain ideology and you have a certain belief that these people that you're attracted to, if you have let go of these beliefs and ideologies that cause them to attract to you, or you attract to them, and you let them go, and you're no longer attracted to them anymore, and you can see the lies, you can see the reality of who they are, then really it's not a lost situation. You have learned your lesson. You have let go of the attachments, and that is the purpose of a spiritual path. If you walk the path and you don't see your attachments to certain ideologies, to certain people and certain beliefs, but the people you attract are showing you the beliefs and ideologies that you still have. And you might feel betrayed. You might feel that you lost the trust afterwards. But really, it's just a lesson for you to see your attachments that you have, and then you making the choice so that you are letting go of the attachment so you can be more. So you make a higher choice not to go with these people anymore, or you don't have to associate with these people anymore. You just turn the other cheek, walk away. So when you see these people who try to manipulate you, you can see that, oh, I know this kind of people, not judging them, but you discern who they are, and then you apply a higher wisdom to walk away, and then choose a different way to interact with other people who are not using you or not manipulating you, but simply wanting to get to know you deeper, and that these people are the ones you need to choose, or people who are more open-minded, who are not using others as some kind of a tool, an advantage to validate their own attachments, their own psychology. All right, this is all I just want to say on this YouTube channel. Until next time, this is David saying goodbye.